Welcome back to the Free Code Camp podcast. I'm Quincy Larson, teacher and founder of Free Code Camp. Today, I'm interviewing Schumit Shaha, a software engineer from Dhaka who runs a developer agency building projects for clients throughout Asia. Super interesting guy. Before we get to him, let's do some quick community news. I'm really hyped about this. I spent 3 days in San Francisco at the Palace of Fine Arts recording a documentary about the world's largest collegiate hackathon. More than 3,000 student developers participated in this year's UC Berkeley CalHacks hackathon. Over the course of 36 hours, they built a broad array of projects, then demoed them for judges from industry. And I now present you with this finished documentary. I hope you find it enjoyable and inspiring. It's 80 minutes long, totally free on the Free Code Camp YouTube channel. Link is in the description, and be sure to check it out after you finish listening to this podcast. We also just published a new course on building your own custom Kubernetes operators and controllers from scratch. If you're interested in DevOps, this is for you. You'll learn everything from the internal architecture of informers and caches to advanced concepts like finalizers and idempotency, which is essentially being able to redo a function over and over without it like ruining the data underlying. If you've heard that term idempotent, that's what that means. Again, this is a 6-hour YouTube course free on Free Code Camp's YouTube channel. We also published a tutorial that will walk you through selecting the best GPUs for economically training your models and running inference workloads. This is a no-nonsense guide, and it will help you understand why certain specs matter more than others. It will also help you navigate around common pitfalls when buying or renting GPUs. 35-minute read on the Free Code Camp publication, link in the description. Check it out after the podcast. And Free Code Camp also published a really cool 4-hour course that will walk you through benchmarking embedding models using your own custom data. This course will walk you through leveraging vision language models for precise text extraction, and you'll also learn how to use LLMs, large language models, to generate synthetic evaluation data. Finally, you'll get exposure to the rigorous statistical tests that can help you find the best models for whatever hardware you have on hand. This is a 4-hour course on the Free Code Camp YouTube channel. This week's song of the week. I had to share this. I love this song. Supergroup The Power Station's 1985 hit, Some Like It Hot. This entire album features incredible drumming by Chic drummer Tony Thompson, and the bass and guitars are handled by Duran Duran's John Taylor and Andy Taylor. No relation, surprisingly. The whole song just has insane groove thanks to their ability to lock in, and it's just like this amazing, amazing sound, and it's huge because of the drums. The way that they recorded the drums, according to Duran Duran's official site, is that they used a nearby elevator shaft and they put mics at the top of the elevator shaft, and the drums like reverberated through that elevator shaft and they captured it. Also, the guy singing on the song is Robert Palmer, 1980s icon. He's got such a nicely textured voice, but some of that might be because he reportedly smoked 60 cigarettes a day, and he did pay the price a few years later, but this is, the voice is golden here. So now we're ready to talk about how you can support the Free Code Camp community. We are a 501c3 charity. You can donate to us, deducted from your U.S. taxes, and we have 10,338 kind folks who do that every single month. They've got a monthly recurring donation. You can join them at donate.freecodecamp.org. You can also support us a little bit. It's not a huge help, but most of it is the actual t-shirt. But if you buy a t-shirt from Free Code Camp, shop.freecodecamp.org, it's $20 total, including shipping anywhere in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., we don't ship it internationally because it's a pain, but you can just grab our assets from our GitHub repo and make your own shirts. Just screen print them. These are made right here in the States by Rafael, who runs the Free Code Camp podcast in Spanish. Super chill dude, and he has a screen printing company. So today's interview, Schumit Shaha. This guy is the real deal. He's published so many courses in both Bengali, his native language, and in English on YouTube. And he's also published a ton of tutorials on Free Code Camp. So he's based in Dhaka, Bangladesh, where he runs a developer agency building projects for clients throughout Asia. And we talk about how the hunger for learning is dying and people are increasingly drawn to the shortcuts over taking time to truly understand concepts. They want the quick wins. They don't want to put in the work. Shumit's information diet, he's going to talk about that, and he's going to talk about tips for expanding your skills and improving your information diet. And he's going to do a quick lightning round, which I'm very excited about, where he essentially explains 5 key developer concepts. He explains them like you're 5, that classic subreddit. He's going to do that for 5 programming concepts that you should know. Stay tuned for the interview. Schumit Shaha, welcome to the freeCodeCamp podcast.
Hi, Quincy. Thanks for having me, and I hope you are doing great.
Yeah, I am. I'm having a great time here, and I have so much to talk with you about. First, I want to start off with this quote that you recently said that really struck me. You said, "The hunger for learning is dying." Are people getting intellectually lazier? And why do you say this, and what's causing it?
Well, actually, on the surface, it seems like AI is the main reason behind it, but I wouldn't blame AI only for that. I think the main blame needs to be even to TikTok and other reels or this kind of things, which actually kills the attention. So people expect content from us, like teachers, like you and me, to go straight into the topic. But programming is not that type of topic. It needs some background, it needs some fundamental knowledge, and it needs analogy to explain. So it's not possible within a 60-second mark or a 3-minute mark. So that's why we make tutorials in freeCodeCamp which are 12 hours long, which are 5 hours long, and those are extremely useful for programmers like me. Even I was young, I was watching freeCodeCamp tutorials and learned a lot. So that's what I said, that the hunger is actually dying, and AI it actually played a role here, because you are getting answer from straight from the question. Like, for example, you are asking a question to the AI and it's giving you direct answer. But when we were actually learning programming in our days, we were searching through Google, and Google was kind of giving us a lot of answers. We don't know what is the correct answer. So we will dig down, we will go to Stack Overflow, sometimes go land to freeCodeCamp. Maybe I was looking for closure, and suddenly I discovered execution context. So lots of passive learning happened, and actually our brain works like that. So when you are asking question to ChatGPT or any kind of LLM, it actually giving you straight to the point. So you are not learning out of the box things. That's what I believe. So but the expectation of people is actually like that, because they're kind of used to watching reels, TikToks, and they're expecting us to do the same. And I think that's what actually killing our attention span.
Yeah, I mean, you make some excellent points there about just like the process of getting unstuck when you're stuck programming or something like that. You would dive in, you'd get exposed to all these additional concepts that your mind would kind of be like cataloging and like, I need to dig deeper into this later and stuff like that. It was an exploration. Whereas now the LLM, it's trained through, reinforcement learning with human feedback to essentially give you the most complete, authoritative sounding answer it can, which to some extent does just squelch any curiosity you may be feeling. Yeah. And of course, it's not just LLMs, but LLMs are a tool that people can use to enable their intellectual laziness. But as you said, attention spans are getting shorter because we've got, the way that I've heard TikTok described is it used to be like you opened up like YouTube and you decided what to watch. You were presented with a bunch of stuff, or you'd like search. With TikTok, the only decision is what not to watch. Like the video starts playing and you just press the button to skip to the next one. And so your only decision is this worth my time, or should I just get some other random thing served up? So which dramatically simplifies the user experience, which I think is one of the reasons these applications are so addictive.
Right.
But it's the ultimate form of information grazing. You're you're just like a cow moving from one pasture to another without really like understanding that's where I think the term information grazing comes from. So let's talk about what people can do about this. Like, you're an ambitious person who's learning programming, or you want to like go deep on skills. You want to have a career. You want to build a business like you've built. You've got a developer consultancy operating all around Asia. and that requires actual skills and actual foundational learning. What can
Right.
people do about this, I guess, this risk, this pitfall that has manifested itself where technology can enable intellectual laziness?
Absolutely. Great question. So I think the push that we were used to, like, for example, the example I already gave you, that when we were searching for any knowledge, we were searching through Google, and we were learning on some pages that might not be relevant, but we were reading through those lines. So that gave us some extra knowledge, and then we get back and went back to Stack Overflow, and after doing a lot of research, we actually got the answer. So it's kind of the research thing. Yeah, the research thing is kind of missing nowadays. So we need to push ourselves or force ourselves to do that, I believe, especially for the beginners. Even to my students, I recommend them, absolute beginners, I recommend them not to use any kind of LLM strictly, because if they start with LLM, they will be used to quick answers or shortcuts, and that's the killer. If you start with shortcuts, your learning starts with shortcut way, then I believe that uh, uh, job like programming or job like technology problem solving will be extremely difficult for them, because programming is like thinking. It's all about thinking, it's all about solving problems, it's all about breaking down complex things into small pieces of problems. So if you don't have that reasoning skill, then you can't be a programmer, or you can't even solve a problem. So that's what I would say, that you have to artificially push yourself right now, because we were in our days, you and me, in our days, uh, uh, for, we were naturally used to push ourselves for knowledge. But right now, as knowledge is very easy to find nowadays, very accessible, like you can go to TikTok, you can go to Reels, you get a tutorial very easily. So people are actually not giving values to these materials. But in
Yeah.
our times, we used to give them a lot of value, because one FreeCodeCamp tutorial had an immense value at that time. Even I personally value them a lot. Good developers, good programmers still watch FreeCodeCamp tutorials, still watch my tutorials, still watch others' tutorials. But most of the people, like the young generation, they are kind of avoiding this. So I would
Yeah.
strongly recommend, just avoid shortcuts, push yourselves, and right now you have to artificially push yourself to actually go through those hassles. That hustling stage, you should go through that. Otherwise you cannot solve big problems, or
Yeah.
face real problems and can naturally solve them.
So you've written a lot of books, which is another medium that I think is on the decline. You've written like very comprehensive tutorials, handbooks, things like that. Many of which FreeCodeCamp has published. But like you are very good at creating text that very quickly, like I guess, explains a concept to somebody. And you know the 60-second TikTok format, or maybe even like 2 or 3 minutes. But I think in practice, a lot of TikToks are way shorter than 60 seconds. You can explain some very superficial concepts during that period, but for going deeper and really like driving home how a concept works and giving people enough context to really be able to use that, you do need to go deeper. But I'm going to do something here that is kind of just, I guess, the equivalent of information grazing, and that I'm going to ask you to explain several concepts relatively quickly that you have written about recently.
Sure,
The
sure.
first one is, so this is kind of a lightning round. Closures in JavaScript. What are closures, and how would you describe them to a beginner developer?
Okay, to the beginner developer. So I would try to explain like I'm five. So a closure is like a backpack that a function carries with it, I would say, in JavaScript. When a function is created, it remembers the variables around it. So the scope, we say, and even after those variables are gone, like it looks like it has been garbage collected, but actually it's not. It actually carrying the backpack. For example, you create a function that returns another function, and inside it, if you store a number, like for example, you can say count is equal to 0, and every time you call the inner function, it can still increase that count value. So it looks like kind of magic, but actually it's actually holding that scope with it. That's why I'm calling it like a backpack.
Okay, that's a helpful analogy for anybody who has been struggling with understanding closures, just remember Shumit's backpack analogy. By the way, I want to point out that Shumit, you did not grow up speaking English. You grew up in Dhaka, and you're speaking Bangla natively, and your channel's in Bangla too. So it's a huge deal to come on and do an entire interview in a foreign language. So hats off to you.
It's a challenge for me. It's a super challenge for me.
Yeah.
I know 4 programming languages and Bangla. So English is kind of a burden for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is my 5th or 6th language, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I believe programming language is the part and parcel of my life.
Yeah. Worker threads. Let's talk about worker threads. I want to go into the next quick lightning round question. What is a worker thread?
I wrote a clear handbook about worker thread, which is huge. And basically worker thread, I explained it in Node.js. So Node.js normally works like we know that one person doing one job at a time. Like JavaScript is a single threaded programming language. So it can run one thing at once by default. So worker threads are like helpers you hire for heavy work. Simple. So for example, if your app needs to calculate something big, like processing a huge file, so definitely it would require CPU, and you can send that job to a worker thread. Okay, so it's not part of the main thread where JavaScript runs. It actually, you are creating other workers. You are actually appointing other workers, and it's outside JavaScript. Okay, so while the worker is busy calculating, the main Node.js process can still respond to users, and that's how being a single-threaded programming language or a single-threaded runtime, Node.js can handle millions of requests because it can handle multiple requests simultaneously, asynchronously.
So it's kind of like being at the front desk of an office and you're talking with somebody. And if it's just a quick task, that person can reach down and grab a piece of paper and hand it to you or something like that. But if it's something more complicated, they might press the button and be like, hey, Steve, can you come over and handle this for the customer? And so they can do stuff in the background while you're still able to continue the conversation with the front desk.
That's why I call JavaScript a very clever language, because it actually does nothing. To me, it's a high-level programming language. It's a very clever, and the person who created JavaScript, Sir Brendan Eich, he is also a very clever guy, I believe, because actually JavaScript is like a manager or a kind of connecting things together. So it's a glue language, I believe, which actually solves a lot of problems. But we must say that being a glue language, being a scripting language, JavaScript has the highest influence over developers, because lots of non-CSE background students can learn programming because of JavaScript and Python.
Yeah. And if you try to use an LLM to build an application, it will almost certainly default to JavaScript because it's by far the most represented in its data set that it was trained on, because I don't know, like half of GitHub is JavaScript or something like that.
Exactly.
So let's move to the next lightning round question. I've got 3 more for you. JSON web tokens. Why are they the new standard in authentication?
Well, JSON Web Token, or in short, we call it JWT. In a developer community, everyone knows about JWT. So JWT is like a stamped ticket that proves who you are. Okay, so you log in once with your email and password. The server gives you a JWT, kind of a signature. And after that, every request you send and includes that token. So the server just checks the token instead of asking you to log in again, because we know that HTTP is stateless. So it just forgets the previous request. But we can attach the JWT token inside our cookies, or we can store it in the local storage and then send it with request headers. So no memory, no session, just show me your ticket. That's it.
Yeah, and that dramatically simplifies the security aspect, hence it taking over as a new standard in authentication. What is, so just to recap real quick, closures are like a backpack. Worker threads are like, you know, a page button where you can page somebody to come to the front desk and help you with something so you can still be with the customer. And then JSON web tokens are like a stamped ticket that you can just present repeatedly.
Right.
What about streaming? So streaming is a concept that's used in JavaScript. It's prominent in Next.js. Can you explain the concept of data streaming?
Okay, actually, streaming is a concept of Node.js, and it's actually a complex concept. In my Learn with Schumit YouTube channel, in the Bangla YouTube channel, I explained it, and that explanation was almost a 30 minutes video, just explaining what streaming is. But I would definitely simplify for the beginners. So in Next.js, most of the hard works have been actually abstracted away. So streaming actually means, by concept, it means sending the page in pieces instead of all at once. So imagine a page where the header loads fast, but the comments take longer. There is a header section and a comment section. The header can be loaded faster and the comment section can be loaded later. So with streaming, Next.js sends the header immediately so the user can see something, so that we get the FCP, like fast contentful paint. And the comments appear later when they are ready. So the page feels faster even though everything isn't finished yet. So in simple terms, streaming is like we take shower. So it's like the bubbles are actually streaming in onto our body. So it's like the information is actually coming in the same way, like part by part, piece by piece. That's it.
Okay, and so it's present in Node.js, but Next.js like really takes it to the next level in terms of simplifying the use of streaming for web apps.
By default, it automatically actually streams things.
Yeah. And then final question before we get to the other stuff, but like I just wanted to start with a lot of informational, and I encourage everybody to go read. I've got links to all these different articles and handbooks that Schumit has written about these different concepts if you want to go into deeper detail. Before we move on to the many other topics, what is an MCP server model context protocol, and what problem does it solve? Why build these?
Okay, it's a favorite topic of mine nowadays, because it's a career path, I would say, in modern days. So MCP is just simply a protocol, as you said, model context protocol. And in simple terms, MCP server is a safe bridge between AI and real tools. For example, if an AI needs to read your calendar or create a task, it doesn't talk to those systems directly. Instead, it sends a request to the MCP server, like, for example, get today's meeting. For example, the MCP server understands that request, talks to the calendar safely, and sends back a clean response. It keeps everything controlled, secure, and predictable. So I would say that MCP is actually USB-C for AI applications. Like, for example, you have a system. For example, you have Figma application. Okay, you work in Figma, but you want to control Figma from your ChatGPT interface or from Claude Code or from any other LLM. In that case, that Figma company needs to follow the MCP protocol, the model context protocol, and build their MCP server, so that that protocol is actually generalized. It's actually introduced by Anthropic. So it's a generalized protocol. Everyone will follow that protocol, just like HTTP. We follow HTTP REST protocol, for example. So MCP is kind of that protocol. And if you build that MCP server following those protocols, we have SDKs, like we have TypeScript SDKs, we have Python SDKs, Java SDKs. So all programming language has their own SDKs. So you will just connect those LLMs with your system. And I believe in the next 3 years, 2 to 3 years, most of the jobs will be about MCP servers.
Really? Okay, that's a profound statement. So within the next 2 or 3 years, most of the developer jobs will be focused around building and maintaining MCP servers. So just to strip out like the analogy you pointed out there, it's like a USB port, like a universal serial bus. It just dramatically simplifies devices interfacing with one another.
Previously, we had USB A, B, C, and a lot of other USB stuffs. But right now we have USB-C, and it's a universal thing. Okay, so MCP, actually, we can consider MCP as a USB-C for LLMs or AI applications.
Awesome. Well, everybody, like, there you go. 5 complex, challenging developer topics explained within about 8 minutes or so by Schumit. I hope you're getting a feel for his caliber as a teacher and how he can boil fairly complicated things down and make them palatable and understandable to even a relative layperson. I'm learning a lot from this conversation. I want to dive more into your background. How did you become this teacher who has all these software engineering skills, who runs an agency? You grew up in Dhaka in Bangladesh. How would you describe the city to someone who doesn't know anything about it?
Okay. Actually, Dhaka is insane in the best possible way. I usually say Dhaka is not a city for beginners. That I would definitely say. If you are a foreigner, I would strongly recommend having a local friend with you, at least at the beginning, because English isn't commonly spoken on the streets. So everyday things like getting directions, bargaining, even ordering food become much easier with someone local. And it's also a city of traffic jams, legendary traffic jams, I would say, because driving is extremely hard. You don't just deal with cars, you have paddle rickshaws, you have bikes, scooters, trucks, cycles, and lots of other stuffs as well, all sharing the same road at the same time. To survive, you basically have to be one of the best drivers in the world. So people spend a huge portion of their life stuck in traffic. But here's the funny positive side. Basically, accidents are usually not fatal because no one can reach full speed. So the traffic is so dense that everything moves slowly. For me personally, traffic jams became unexpected classrooms. Most of us, for most of the students, traffic jams actually are classrooms. So I think I have read the highest number of books and articles in my life while sitting in Dhaka traffic, going from my home to my office. And you never know that this very podcast might be getting listened to by thousands of my developer friends back in Dhaka while they're stuck in traffic jam.
Yeah.
So you either waste that time or you learn use it. So and people in Dhaka are very good at adapting like that. So overall, Dhaka is loud, chaotic, difficult, but it trains you. And if you can function, focus, and grow in Dhaka, I would say you can do it almost anywhere in the world. So it's a
Yeah.
lesson.
In the US, there's this saying that if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And it sounds like
Everyone
Dhaka
does.
may be comparable in terms of it's just a high difficulty city. As you mentioned, the language, the culture is very different from like what an American would probably be used to. And you mentioned rickshaws or like it's essentially like a runli cha. I don't know.
Okay, rickshaws.
But basically,
Rickshaws are actually three wheelers, and
okay.
the front wheel is actually paddled by a human riding on
Okay,
it.
so it's
We-
pedal rickshaws, but
Paddle
essentially
rickshaws.
it's like a bicycle that has like a carriage
Yeah.
behind it.
Right,
Yeah, and-
exactly.
Yeah, and it sounds like because the traffic is so chaotic, often you could go on the sidewalk, you could kind of weave around the traffic if you're in like a more
Absolutely.
agile type of vehicle. How do you get around? Do you drive? Do you walk? Do you take mass transit?
I tried everything, but later I quit. It's almost impossible to drive along because after you finish driving, you will definitely catch headache. So because I need to go to office and then work, so that's why I kept a driver. He actually drives my car. If I need to stop in traffic jam, I will open my laptop. And nowadays I don't read that much of books. Most of the books are in PDF, so I read those. Sometimes I do my I reply to my official emails and everything. Sometimes I make tutorials in traffic jam as well.
Really? That's pretty cool. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're able to make use of the extra time that
Right.
I guess just commuting. And it's not just Dhaka. I've heard like a lot of India, for example, has like I think like Delhi has like legendary traffic.
Same.
There's like this traffic jam that lasted for like 8 days, I think in China. Like a lot of cities have a lot of traffic, and being able to get things done on the go is definitely a good skill.
Right.
That's one of the things. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm driving, but thankfully Dallas has actually really, really gentle traffic by comparison to a lot of the places I've lived.
You are lucky. You are lucky in that case.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely glad I'm not in LA anymore. That was a nightmare trying to get anywhere. But yeah. So I want to dive into kind of how you got this extremely broad software engineering skill set. Is this stuff that you learned mainly in school? How did you go about learning this massive, broad corpus of programmer concepts and skills?
Okay, I would definitely not say that I have a broad knowledge about programming, but definitely I have some because I have been working since 2008. I'm always a hustler, so I'm still hustling. Even I'm hustling with AI right now, so not that much comfortable yet. So I am mostly a self learner, and honestly, a lot of my learning came from making mistakes. So sometimes repeatedly. I did have the privilege of getting into one of the most prestigious universities in Bangladesh to study computer science, but I didn't really catch that opportunity in the first 2 or 3 years. So I kind of lost my path during that time because I was extremely weak on those low-level programming languages like C, Java, and everything. Those were actually not. I was not getting into those languages. I was not enjoying those languages. So what changed things for me was actually realizing that no one was coming to save me. And I came back with courage and a lot of hunger when I almost was lost. I was in third year and I don't know anything. And I decided to rebuild everything from scratch through self-learning. I started with PHP. And as I said, I was not very comfortable with English. So I had to find a Bangla PHP tutorial book. Uh, 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 and I collected it and I learned PHP first. And this was at a time when resources was very limited. I'm talking about somewhat around 2006, 2007. So no YouTube, no structured courses, the way we know it today, for example. So getting out of the beginner phase was painful. I mean, slow and frustrating. But once I did that, I never had to look back. So I think it this way: when we are beginners, we are still standing on the platform. So we haven't boarded the train yet. The real challenge is to get on the train of knowledge, because it never stops. And once you do, growth happens naturally as you keep moving forward. So I also have to give huge credit to the platforms and people who taught me different stages. For example, early on, Stack Overflow was everything. Actually, I
Yeah.
learned the most amount of things in my life from Stack Overflow. I'm extremely grateful to that platform. And I learned an insane amount just by reading questions, answers, and real world problems people were stuck on. So I was kind of maybe as I uh, uh, as I told you at the start, that I am looking for closure tutorial, and then I found out execution context. Then I start to learn that execution context, and then finally I connect execution context with closure. So this type of learning, I think, is very effective for programmers, which is nowadays missing. Later, when learning resources became more accessible, like YouTube played a massive role, and Udemy too, and especially the teacher, Maximilian Schwarzmuller, you know him. So Maximilian Schwarzmuller is my favorite teacher, and I learned a lot of core concepts from him. And I'm also a big fan of Jeff Delaney from Fireship.io. I
Yeah.
have followed almost every video he has made, and his style deeply inspired me for my own content creation journey. Though my videos are long, his videos are really short,
Yeah.
but he is an inspiration, that I would
Yeah.
must say,
See,
that
see
if a
in
person
five
like him
minutes.
can, yeah, 5 minutes magic. So it's kind of for expert uh, devs, but I mainly work for beginners. That's why I explain things a lot. So Fireship played a vital role in shaping how I think about teaching, clarity and pacing, I would say. And of course, I must thank FreeCodeCamp and you. When I discovered it, it genuinely became my actual university. So though both the articles and the YouTube videos were helpful to me, both articles and YouTube videos, I'm more comfortable with videos. So that mix of structured learning, community, free access is how learning should be, I believe. That is very important, because community is everything in programming learning. Community is everything. You cannot, and you are just playing around in ChatGPT or any LLM interface, and you forget about that community, then nothing will happen, because
Yeah.
you need that community. So engaging with the community is extremely important, which I did correct. That is the only thing that I did correct in my life. Always engaged with the community. So that is really important, and I'm incredibly grateful to these platforms and people. I'm truly here because of them, and that's why I'm trying to pay back to the community, which I'm super grateful to.
Yeah, I mean that. First of all, thank you for your kind words about Free Code Camp, and I want to get more into how you got your consultancy going. But first, since we're on the topic of community, of course, we talked about online community, Stack Overflow, legendary website. Uh, I had the privilege of interviewing both of the founders of Stack Overflow in their respective homes in New York and in San Francisco, and those are some of the best podcast episodes I've ever done. It's definitely the most heavily researched. I'll put links to those in the show notes if you want to listen to them. They're audio only, unfortunately. But the thing that you mentioned, community is everything. You were very active in the online communities, but in terms of just being in Dhaka, like you were at a prestigious university there, studying computer science. Like, what about the community in Dhaka, the developer community, and like what were you doing in terms of meeting fellow Bangladesh devs?
Okay. So the developer scene in Dhaka is incredibly lively. You will be amazed. So it's very much in celebration mode, I would say. they are always celebrating programming and the programming teachers and everything. Programming there isn't just a profession, it's something people genuinely get excited about. And one unique thing is the sheer number of beginners, tremendous number of beginners. So it's most of them are from non-CSE background, and the most vital impact, those programmers who have played the most vital impact in Bangladesh technology landscape are actually non-CSE students. So that's amazing, and they are all self-learners. So they are everywhere and they are deeply engaged. They celebrate learning itself, video tutorials, community discussions, tech content, and even meeting their favorite educators or speakers. And they treat it like a festival. So there are regular, highly engaging events, like, for example, WordCamp happens regularly in different
WordCamp, the
cities.
WordPress focused
Right.
Event. That's an international event. They have one here in, I think, in Florida, in the States.
Yeah, in Bangladesh, multiple WordCamp events take place in Dhaka, in Chittagong, and other cities. Basis Soft Expo, that is another a big event in Bangladesh, developer event. Then Laravel meetups, regular Laravel meetups happen, JavaScript meetups, freelancer gatherings, and many community-driven tech events going on. These aren't small or quiet meetups. Tickets often sell out in minutes, and 2,000 plus participants is totally normal. So it's actually a very lively environment. These events are major hubs for, I mean, networking, learning, and even job opportunities, mostly job opportunities. Companies, startups, agencies, they all participate, and sponsors are always available. And I also organized a personal event that was called DevConf, which became one of the most celebrated tech events in the history of Bangladesh. It brought
Wow.
together developers. Yeah, it was huge. People actually remember that event, and almost every player in the industry, every tech guy, tech gurus, beginners, intermediate developers, experts, all joined that event, thanked me. And it was just after COVID. So people were like kind of enclosed in their home. And then they enjoyed that freedom and just entered into DevCon. So it was amazing experience. So overall, Dhaka's developer scene is young, loud, passionate, and extremely community driven, and the energy is at its biggest strength.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool that you were able to put on such a important event right after the pandemic, when people were able to kind of come back out and celebrate together once more.
Exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about your consultancy. So you have this developer consultancy. You have clients in Singapore, in Myanmar, lots of other countries, and you have been able to build this agency essentially that goes out and works with clients, builds projects for them, and been able to expand it. But it actually started in university. Like, you were an ambitious university student and you started doing work while you were still studying. Can you tell us the story behind this?
Okay, I would definitely say that I was not a ambitious student. I was always a very humble and kind of lost person. So I was looking for money. I was looking for livelihood. I had to be something. I need to earn money for my family. That was my actual goal. And entrepreneurship was never into my goal. It just happened accidentally. That would that uh, I would definitely, if I want to be honest, I would have to say that maybe I could have said that, yeah, I wanted to become an entrepreneur and so on, but actually that's not true. Actually, it was an accidental entrepreneurship. Actually, I started with freelancing. As I said that from third year I started learning actually PHP, and I learned it very fast. I mean, PHP was a high level programming language. It genuinely gave me that flavor of programming language, of enjoying programming language. I was actually watching those outputs, but in C++, I was getting those blue screen like Turbo C interface. So it was not actually giving me that kind of enjoyment that I was looking for. PHP gave me that, and through PHP, after learning PHP, I understood the fundamentals of programming. Then I could understand C. Later, I understood C. Then I could understand C++, Java. Then I realized that all programming language tells the same story, tells the same thing. Like, for example, I am now talking in English, and the same English words can be talked in Bangla as well. So they are actually doing the same thing. They are expressing kind of no, expressing our expressions. So programming language are same. We are talking with the machine in different languages. So after enjoying the PHP language a lot, I was kind of doing some projects, some fun projects, and I was in university dormitory. So in our dormitory, there were some clubs like science clubs, engineering clubs. So I used to make websites for them with PHP. I can remember I was using Dreamweaver in the front end. I don't know whether you can recall it or not. Dreamweaver was a very popular front end software for designing, and I was doing the backend things like PHP, MySQL database. So I was enjoying those things, and soon people starts to realize that Shumit can build websites. So in my community, I was kind of known that he's a web developer. That's the hook that is needed in career. So it gave me lots of connections. It's lots of people contacted me, and when I went to the freelancer.com website, I bid some projects and I got those, and suddenly the projects were really overwhelming, and I started to realize that I personally, as a single person, I can't handle this. So I need to recruit some people. So I engaged some of my friends, some young juniors. Later, suddenly I realized that I have a company one day. So it's like a gradual progress that was not expected. And actually, I was doing my work and suddenly realized that I should give it a name. I should form a formal company. And that's what the journey is. And then the things go on. My team became stronger, bigger, and we started to crack some local clients, local small clients, later big clients. And also we pivoted because in Bangladesh, the software industry was not that ready. There were jobs, there were works, but the value of softwares was not that much. So we had to create that value in the market. So because when I go to a IT team for any company, for example, Unilever Bangladesh, we went to Unilever Bangladesh IT team, and they couldn't understand what we were trying to sell. So we just realized that these people can't give us works. So that's why we pivoted. We started some creative things like digital marketing stuffs, like creative things. You have already seen that my thumbnails, my video editing, all are actually done by myself. It came from that experience. So I had some creative gift from God. So I was using those skills. So people were accepting, brands were accepting. I could connect to the upper management directly. I could just talk with the CEO to manage their brand activation campaigns or marketing campaign strategies, and indirectly or passively I could sell my softwares. uh, uh, so it was like, for example, I want to sell softwares, but I had to pivot and go through a different path like the marketing industry, and that's how most of my products are marketing solutions.
Wow. So just to be clear, like you started off with the programming skills and you were known among your peers as somebody who could get things done with machines, essentially.
Right.
And then from there, as you were able to get these contracts, you were able to expand, bring on additional just fellow computer science students, essentially. And you had this stable of developer talent that you could kind of set loose on whatever problem you needed to solve for a given client. Then you experienced that it was difficult to just sell software because the market was not mature enough to realize, oh, we just need a developer for this. But there is always a need for like marketing capability in any business, any industry, basically. And you were able to step in and provide that. And then that was kind of the back door for you to also provide programming skills. But still to this day, you're doing a lot of marketing solutions. And some of that is executed through software. But some of it's just old fashioned, like going into Adobe Photoshop or, you know, maybe the open source equivalents, and building stuff. So that's really cool. And it shows me that you were able to pivot and kind of like feel out the market and realize, hey, this is not working. Like I want to be a dev primarily, but I'm going to have to do something else to show value so that I can eventually get in the conversation with the right people, the decision makers. And then I can sell software services in addition to the marketing solutions that they're already interested in.
And one point I would definitely want to add that sometimes you need to create the market. Not all the time your market will be ready because people might not see the future. You are an entrepreneur because you can see the future. because I introduced digital marketing to Bangladesh. Before that, it was all traditional marketing like TV, newspapers, and this kind of stuffs. And the ROI was missing because the TV media were extremely dependent on TRP for result. So that is not a validated result. So I tried to sell the transparency of digital marketing. Like for example, you are selling something, so you are putting ads or you are putting some campaigns, you are doing some creatives. Mostly we started with Facebook games because in those types, that Facebook application was extremely popular. So we created some amazing, engaging Facebook games. Those were actually technology products. Those were actually technology solutions. But I had to sell them to the marketing team, and they were non-technical. So I cannot sell softwares to them. I need to sell solutions. I need to solve their problems. That's the attitude. That's the mindset. I think that is really important. I learned it from hustles. I learned it from mistakes. But I would definitely, from nowadays, people should consider it in their mind that softwares don't sell. Actually, we don't sell softwares. We are actually sell solutions to different problems. It can be in marketing industry, it can be in fintech industry, or in any industry.
Yeah,
software itself has no value.
Yeah, and software is kind of seen as a liability by a lot of people because if you think about it, like that's something that has to be maintained. Developers are expensive. That's something that could break. There could be security issues. Like in a perfect world, you wouldn't need any software. Right. We do in practice, right? So it's really cool that you were able to use like Facebook games at that time. And it sounds like you said the next 2 or 3 years is going to be all about like figuring out how to like use MCP servers. And do you think that MCP servers could be the next gold rush, whereas like Facebook games and things like that were the gold rush back when you were first getting started?
Right. Exactly. I would definitely say that. And one area that would be extremely popular, and it's already popular because people are recruiting those engineers. Those are extremely good at agentic applications. For example, automation thing. Most of the companies are kind of shifting their current system and do some automations. For example, Figma has already created their MCP server. And there are other companies, they are also building their MCP servers. Maybe Adobe will come up with MCP servers. And I think those LLM interfaces like ChatGPT or Claude, these interfaces, or even Gemini, those interfaces will be the landing page or the home page for everyone. And people will try to communicate with different softwares from those LLMs, rather than visiting different websites and different solutions. But the servers needs to be maintained by those companies. Like Figma needs to maintain their servers. And who will do that? The software engineers will do that.
Yeah. So to some extent, like a lot more of software development is going to be back-end development as opposed to front-end development going forward, in your opinion?
No, not. I wouldn't say that. Front-end development will be there because sometimes, especially for enterprises will never land their product onto the other interface, right? They will create their own interface. Even the front end will, I believe the user experience shift is going to happen. For example, right now, when we kind of fill up a form in any web interface. For example, we have lots of fields like name, email address. For example, a sign up form. There are 5 to 6 fields. What if there is a simple one chat box and there I can write my name is Shumit and I want to sign up to your website and my phone number is this. That's it. So maybe the user experience, like for example, we don't need to design that entire form. Those form fields, validation and everything, those stuffs can be eliminated. And one chat interface can do the things in an agentic way. So, but those interfaces needs to be maintained by front-end engineers. Exactly.
Yes.
Also, the streaming thing that you mentioned, like for example, Next.js streaming example that you put, those kind of things needs to be handled by front-end engineers as well. As I said, front-end engineers will be there. Front-end designer and developer might be kind of irrelevant in future days.
So it comes down to how you think about the front end and whether it's the front end for humans to interface with it or for machines to interface with it. So it's kind of,
I think both because I think front-end engineering mostly means state management. communicating with the backend efficiently. Okay, so interacting with, and front end doesn't mean web front end. We have mobile app front ends.
Right.
We have embedded systems front end. Different front ends can be there. So I think front end engineer will be there. Interface will be there. Like Figma designers are not going anywhere, because at some point there might come a situation when people will look for original content. For example, let me give you an example. Like the thumbnail I am kind of the thumbnail, YouTube thumbnail that I am designing right now, intentionally I used my AI face in some places, and people were like, just like they were just saying that this is really bad, this doesn't look good, give us your real face, don't make content with AI. So people are not accepting AI content in the design
Right.
industry.
Especially not in the US. People have
Not in
like
the US, even
the
in
sentiment
Bangladesh.
on the street is people hate AI art. People hate people using
Exactly.
like AI voiceover. And you know what really
So
makes
so
me
that's the
upset
thing,
is
I
is like
think.
AI music. But yes,
Right, right.
go ahead.
So nobody is accepting AI music, nobody is accepting AI image, nobody is accepting. They're kind of playing around it. Like for example, the Ghibli thing that was really hit. We generated some Ghibli images and forgot. Okay, and
Yeah.
those that Ghibli gimmick just went away. So in software industry we need stability. We cannot, uh, for example, an enterprise system cannot just play around, just try this tool one day, then that tool gets replaced, then in the next day bring another tool. We cannot run like that. We need a stable solution. We need security, we need stability. And the most important thing, the entire software industry, service industry, is actually run by maintainability, I believe, because we software engineers don't charge that much in development. We actually, our goal for a businessman, they want to actually charge the maintenance cost monthly, or in a retainer basis. Okay, so if you can't maintain your software, then I think it's a hell of a thing. Because sometimes I personally forget, uh, if I look my code after 6 months after development, I don't recognize what I wrote. And if you write with AI or any vibe coding tool, then it will be a mess, because you will lose the control. So that's what I would definitely say, that if we can break down things at function level, or for object oriented programming in class level, you can take help from LLM that write that class for me, or write that method for me, or write that function for me. But you have to instruct, you have to tell that you will follow me, you will not suggest me. That's what I think our approach should be. We can consider, we can take LLM as our assistant, just like worker threads, but decision maker should be you.
I love that. You are the decision maker, not
Absolutely.
not that the LM should not be suggesting things and you're like, sounds good. Right? You need to take the initiative and not be lazy, essentially. Also,
Exactly.
your observation that like maintenance makes the software world go round, essentially, that it all comes back to maintenance, maintainability. Like a vast majority of the work that's going to go into any software project is, essentially amortized across the software development lifecycle, but it's not all the upfront work. It's the maintenance and expansion over the years that software is in service. I have so many questions for you. I want to make sure I get to them. You are an educator. How did you get into creating programming tutorials? You were consuming a lot. Obviously, you mentioned that they were instrumental in you building up your skills. How did you get into creating videos on YouTube? And like, what inspired you to become one of like the biggest Bangla language programming teachers?
Okay, that is the most important part of my life. I can understand right now. So it wasn't a single big decision moment. It was more of a slow realization. It came naturally. So while running the consultancy and mentoring juniors around me, I kept noticing the same pattern. Like smart people were struggling, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked a clear starting point. Starting is the biggest problem, I believe, in programming, and guidance that is extremely needed at the starting phase. in a language they were truly comfortable with. That is also important. Most high quality programming resources were in English in and for many Bengali learners that added an extra layer of difficulty because there is a huge language barrier in our country. I remembered my own early struggles as a self learner and thought if someone, as I already told you, that I had to find a Bangla PHP tutorial book to learn PHP. So I know the hassle, I know the struggle. So I remembered my own early struggles as a self learner and thought if someone had explained these things to me simply, like step by step in my own language, my journey would have been much easier. So I started Learn with Schumit almost experimentally, just like a passion project, just trying to help a few people. And I didn't expect it to become so big. But once I saw how strongly learners connected with it, how fast they progressed, and how hungry they were for structured, beginner-friendly guidance, it became clear this was something I should have done earlier. Okay, so Learn with Schumit has grown into something much bigger than a YouTube channel. It actually become a trust symbol in Bangladesh. And when people get stuck on a complex programming topic, the default reaction is often let's check Learn with Schumit YouTube channel. So that's the achievement that I have made in my life, and that's the most valuable thing in my life, I believe. And its reach goes far beyond Bangladesh too. There are around 242 million Bengali language speakers all over the world, including West Bengal in India as well, and other parts of the global Bangla language.
And a lot here in the U.S. too. I meet lots of Bangla speakers here in the States.
Exactly, there's a large Bangla speaking diaspora. So the language creates an instant connection because if you explain things in your own mother tongue, that's the best thing in the world. So its reach goes far beyond Bangladesh too. That's what I said. So, and what touches me most is the respect and love around it. The same respect that you are getting from us as well as a teacher. So that's what I would say. And let me share a small interesting story to make you understand what I'm trying to say. To me, the moment that really made everything feel real was when I launched my first course, paid course, that was Think in a Redux Way, to explain Redux simply. It was an in-depth Redux online bootcamp, and I decided to gift thousands of learners who graduated from that course a Learn with Schumit branded t-shirt, the t-shirt I'm wearing right now. So I worked with a local delivery company to ship them all over Bangladesh. And soon I started getting unexpected phone calls from the delivery agents. They were asking me, who are you? Why are young people celebrating you so much like a politician? So I was like kind of overwhelmed, and what they told me next stayed with me forever. And the students were so happy receiving the t-shirts that some of them were offering sweets to the delivery agents just for delivering the t-shirt to them. So it was kind of I consider Learn with Schumit the best achievement in my life.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, congratulations on everything you've achieved and the respect you've gained from devs in the global Bangla speaking world. As an educator, I think you're in a great position to answer this question. How do you see the future of developer education evolving over the next 10 years, given that we have all these tools, given that attention spans are shorter than ever, that like, you know, an unanswered, not necessarily a great answer, is just a few keystrokes away with LLMs. What do you think is going to happen over the next 10 years to developer education?
It's hard to predict because I'm not an astrologer, but what I can say that I think education will become more interactive and more personalized. Personalized is the key point here, and more practice driven. I think less passive watching and more real-time building will be happened, like experimenting, feedback, and almost like learning by doing alongside a mentor. I think people will take LLMs as their teacher, and if you can uh, if you're honest, I would say, as a learner, if you are honest, then you can use LLM really efficiently. If you are honest. But most of us are not honest. We actually want to follow the shortcut path. That's why we just ask a question, get the answer, copied it, paste in my code base. This type of learning should bring nothing into your life, into your career. But if you are honest, if you are a good learner, and if you can hustle with questions. Like, for example, if you are getting a solution from LLM, then you ask it, what are the other ways that I can do it? So if you take different options, different outputs from LLMs and research on them, learn them, go through the documentation of each and every technology that you are working with, I think you will get the best out of it. And AI will help with personalization, but human educators will matter even more for mindset, judgment, and ethics. I believe ethics is a very important part, because in the world of AI, this is the most dangerous thing. Ethics is nowhere, and the future isn't about more content. I think it's about better guidance.
Right. Yeah. LLMs don't have a conscience other than what they've been imparted through their training. And that doesn't seem to work very well, as we see all the disasters unfolding around people becoming like addicted to LLMs or getting bad advice, committing self-harm as a result of interactions with LLMs. So I definitely hear you. Like, human teachers are going to have plenty to do going forward. One of the things that I want to know is your advice for devs who are just getting started in 2026. What should they do to hit the ground running, given that there are all these tools out there?
Okay, I have already given the advice already. I would definitely say that they need to be honest with themselves, because you are learning for yourself, not someone else. So if you remain honest, you will definitely find a way. That's what I believe, because in my life, I was a really mediocre student, not a very bright student. I was always in the average category. I actually lost my path in the first 3 years of my career. Then I jumped back. I could, because I had that hunger. I had that honesty inside me that I will have to learn things to earn something. I didn't take any shortcut path. Like I could have chosen some other paths as well, but I didn't. I stick to my background. I stick to my knowledge and stick to my topic, and just stayed with it. And sequentially, I gathered knowledges. I never actually took the shortcut path uh, uh, in my life ever. That's what I would definitely say, that avoid shortcuts.
Yeah, and I'll just echo that. Like, I've never cheated on a test. I'm very proud of that. I've never plagiarized a paper. There were lots of opportunities in university, in school, even in day-to-day life, where you can take these shortcuts. And like, by being honest and holding yourself to a high standard, you kind of force yourself to do a lot of extra work that you could just shrug, and like a lazier person might be able to get away with it. And you'll see those people alongside yourself. You'll see people getting temporary, illusory success by cutting corners and taking shortcuts. But as you said, shortcuts get you nowhere. You have to learn to earn. You've got to learn these skills fundamentally. Don't delude yourself. You're not learning for anybody else. You are learning for yourself. Be honest with yourself, and you'll find a way. Great words to close on, Schumit.
And your career should be a sustainable career. Like, the graph should be like this. It should not be like this. So yes. I believe my career was, I can proudly say, it really was a steady career, not so much jumps, a very average career, but it follows a upper curve, always the kind of straight line. So, but I have seen people who have, actually lazy people are really smart. We know that. But most of the time in career, this smartness actually doesn't work, I believe personally. I think hard work pays off always.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Schumit, it's been an absolute pleasure hearing these insights from you, hearing about your story, how you've, your tips for going out and building your own consultancy, your predictions for how MCP servers are going to be the next big wave that people can ride as developers. If they want to dig deep into that, again, I'm going to encourage people to check out your resources on MCP servers and your many other courses. I've linked to your YouTube channel for any Bengali speakers who want to check out some of your tutorials. And I really, really appreciate you making time, staying up late, by the way. I know it's like a 12-hour time difference or something. Thank you for staying up late to have this conversation with me. And yeah, until next week, everybody, happy coding.